Welcome to the Elevate and Thrive podcast. We have a very special guest with us today. She has an absolutely amazing story to tell. She has been through the fire and she has come out the other side, and she has just an amazing, amazing journey to share with us today. So I want to introduce Cici Rose. Cici, how are you today?
I'm doing well. How is everyone doing?
I think we're all doing good. Thank you so much for being here. I would absolutely love it if you could just kind of take us back to the start of your journey.
I was born in Los Angeles, California. I was born with having both parents in my life. I was basically abused mentally, physically, and emotionally for 18 years of my life. My dad molested me. It's really hard for me to talk about my past. It's just sad for a child to have to go through what I went through. And no child should have to endure that. I had to survive. I saw the worst of humanity at an early age, and that's pretty much what led me down a spiral of drugs and alcohol and ditching school and really just going down a dark path of hating everyone and hating life, and just everything just went wrong in my life. Definitely been a journey though.
So, at what point did you start to turn things around? And what was that? Was there an event, or was there a pivotal thing that happened in your life that made you kind of look at things differently and decide that you were going to go in a different direction?
Like now I look back at it and I realize that God had placed so many different people in my life, and they really kind of kept pushing me in the right direction. I had a counselor when I was I remember I was like 16 or 17, and she pulled me aside because, I had failing grades. I had absence because I was ditching school, and I just didn't care. She pulled me aside and told me, "Do you want to be like your parents? Like, do you want the same outcome? Do you want to be just like them?" And I remember being like, "No, I don't want to be like them at all." And then, I volunteered at the animal shelter. I met wonderful people there that helped me, shape me and guide me. And really the biggest like punch in the face really was my dad got angry at me one day and came home drunk, and I had a little sister, and he decided to slap her and tell her to go to the room. And I was getting ready for work, and it upset me. I was like, something in me gave me courage, because I was terrified of this man. I was always fearful. I didn't want to speak up. I was shy, quiet, what I say, weak. And finally, I stood up to him and I told him he was a coward. And it led down another spiral of other events where I ended up homeless and with a trash bag of clothes. That's all I had. And I was living in the streets for months and in a car, and I don't wish that on anyone, to have not even have the basic necessities, not a roof over your head or anything like that. And I called out to God one day, and I asked him, God, like, what did I do to deserve this life? What did I do to deserve all of this crap that happened to me? I cried out for help, and I said, if you're real, God, show me a sign. Let me know you're real. Like, help me. I need help. And, I tried to kill myself that night, and it ended up being just like this all moment of complete I know I really don't talk to people about my testimony. People are like, oh, that's, it's really crazy that I didn't die from me trying to overdose. And I ended up just having this dream of God or Jesus talking to me and saying that he has not abandoned me, that I never reached out to him, that he's been by my side and he has protected me. My story would bring someone else out from the darkness, and that I will save someone else down the line. And I didn't believe him then. The whole thing just, it's been a journey ever since then of walking with Christ and following Jesus. Obviously, we stumble. I've stumbled. So it's just,
I mean, I can feel the depth. So, first of all, I just want to say thank you so much for sharing that, because it is such a powerful story of survival. And I think a lot of people that are struggling and have these traumas, that is a natural thing to ask yourself. Why me? Like, what did I do to deserve this? The thoughts that we have can play such a huge part in our reality. So to have that moment where you had such a life altering experience at one of what sounds like one of your lowest of lows and darkest of dark times, absolutely, to me, sounds like higher purpose. I truly believe sharing how you made it through and all of the heavy things that have happened to you can help somebody else that's maybe going through something similar or have had things in their past that have happened to them that they just feel like they can't get past, or the sense of hopelessness that goes along with it. And that's the whole point of this podcast, is to give people hope and to show them that love exists and that you can make it through the darkness, and you just have to ask for help and keep going. Keep going. Looking back on your experiences that you had coming on the other side of that, what do you think were the things that were the most helpful in taking you in that different direction? You had that really powerful experience, but then after that, what did you do that took you on a new path?
Oh my goodness, my friend, it has been a journey. I met a man who came into my life, and we were together for 6 years. And his family was Christian based. We would go to church, and they were very family oriented and loving, and they were so much different from my own family. It showed me a different side of what you could come from, like the evilness and darkness of people. Um, and there's still good. There's still good people out there, and that's unfortunately, he cheated, and we broke up, and I went alone on my own. Like I said, it's a journey. You stumble and fall, but you get back up, and you pray about it, and you try to stay down a good path of following what God has ordained. I always say, open up the right doors for me. Um, take away the people that need to be out of my life. It's definitely a journey, and you'll have your ups and downs, but there's always hope and grace and mercy in the Word of God. And try not to preach too much, but that's what's kept me afloat. That's what's had me by his hand. Just, I feel like everything. I had a horseback riding accident. I broke my back. I was in so much pain. I couldn't even walk. My whole body was shutting down, and I was in complete agony. I look back at it, and I'm like, how did I get out of that? Like, how did I come from that? And it's almost like he's had his hand tugging me along. And sometimes, I say, yeah, you know what? It's like a parent and kid. And sometimes I'm like, I don't want to do that. I want to listen to what my flesh wants, which is obviously, it would be a sin, like drinking alcohol. Um, and um, and you have to find peace in knowing that you are here for a purpose. You were made for a purpose, and that there are people that love you, even if they don't know you. I mean, you could meet a stranger on the street tomorrow, and they could be your best friend. Like, I found that out, like, just on my journey. I've traveled to 49 states. I've met a lot of people. People amaze you. You have those negative and those bad people. There's always going to be some good.
Yeah. I agree with you. And I heard a couple of things, what you were just saying. First of all, believing in something bigger than yourself, that higher power, God, the universe, whatever we want to call it. I think it's all the same thing, right? Believing in God and finding hope and trusting that you're not alone. Sounds like it was something that really, really helped you. But then also stepping into the light and stepping into things that you knew were better for you to try to make a better life. And I feel like that takes a lot of practice sometimes because we are human. We can stumble backwards so easily. So it takes that deep determination and belief and trust that it can be different and that there is good in the world and there is hope in the world. And following that, even in those dark moments, I work with a lot of people who have trauma. I myself have a lot of trauma that led me in this direction. Our story, absolutely, I believe, is all part of our purpose because it leads us to where we're needed the most. And if we are willing to push through, especially in those times of like feeling like you just can't keep going, it leads to the light on the other side of it. And not that there's not going to be hard times in between and not that there's not going to be struggle. I think that's part of being human. And I
Yeah.
think also too having that contrast between the dark and the light, so to speak, or the really heavy hard times, you can then appreciate the really good times. And
Yeah.
I don't know if this resonates with you, but for me, it's in those times of having those moments of awe. For me, I have two kids. I know you have a beautiful little boy. Looking at my kids and being amazed at them, like those moments of awe make those hard times so much more worth it. And it's like you feel the good even more because you've experienced the bad. Is that something
Yeah.
that you can relate to?
Oh, absolutely. Because I feel like the people who have nothing but, like, I met so many people, and I'm not trying to say anything bad about them, but the ones that have had no trauma in their, just always everything really good, and they're still miserable and they're still depressed and still not happy. And I feel like people who've had trauma or who've had lost everything appreciate the things, like the smaller things more, if that makes sense. I don't know.
It comes down to the choices that we make because I think, especially when you have a heavy past, when you had these traumatic events, you've struggled and gone through the darkness. It comes down to the choices that we make of do we want to keep going down that path or not? It's just having that moment of choice, right? Where you realize I got to do something different. And if I don't, then this is going to be the outcome. And then after you make that choice, then it's having the awareness, the determination, and then the willingness to not give up
Yeah.
when things get hard, because it's in those moments of pain along our journey, even after we make the choice to move into a different direction, those moments of pain can be the trigger to throw us right back into where we were. And I know a lot of people that struggle with addiction. That's when it happens, is like they'll be doing great for a while and then something happens. And it could be a thought that you have, or it could be something that reminds you of something that happened. And next thing you know, you're making a choice, sometimes subconsciously, like sometimes we're not even aware of it. And it throws you right back into that misery that you were. I just, again, want to really acknowledge you for your strength and your determination and your willingness to persevere throughout all of it. I just want to say to you, I don't know if you've heard this lately, but I'm proud of you.
Oh, thank you. No, I have
Yeah.
not heard. Thank
Yeah.
you.
I'm really proud of you because that takes a lot of strength. I'm proud of you for moving forward and being willing to step in your purpose. And I think that you're doing an amazing job.
Thank you.
So, looking back on just how far you've come since those days of being homeless and sleeping in your car, what do you feel like has transformed the most as a result of your experiences now?
I think it shaped me into basically the wild spirit I am. That, you'll only live once, kind of like I'm going to go travel and I'm going to go try this at least once, bungee jumping, like experiencing life, hiking. I love exploring, seeing basically just the world, what God has put on this earth. Because there's beauty everywhere. And like right now, I keep seeing the bees pollinating these plants. And there's a branch here that's sticking up and then it's cut. So it's bent and then it's growing again. And I think that's funny. And it's kind of like how life is, we go down a path and we think it's a good path, and something happens, we stumble and fall, and you revert back to what you know, the trauma that you come from. And going back to kind of what you were just talking about real quick, like community is one thing also to add to that, because I feel like we are so disconnected from each other, and we are not meant to be disconnected from each other. We're meant to be together as a community, you know, join a group of horseback riders, join a group of basketball players, like go out and meet other people and stop watching the news. Like all that stuff is just feeding into all the negativity. Like why I try to stay off social media too.
I totally agree with that. And I think, being part of something is so, so important. And so I
Yeah.
love that you talk about being part of a community and joining a group. What would you say to somebody who is really struggling with kind of where they are in life and maybe feeling that they don't know where to start, or they don't know what group to join, or maybe they won't fit in with a group? Maybe they feel really isolated because of their experiences and feel like they might not be able to connect with somebody in a group. Do you have any advice that you could offer for somebody that might be in that space?
My only thing that I could think of, because I've been in that space, is to find somebody that you are comfortable with and open up to that person. Like, you know, you don't need advice from this person. You don't need any input. You just need someone else to listen. And just getting all of that heaviness off your chest, and just laying it out. This is what is happening right now. Why am I feeling this way? You know, just lay it all out, and it'll make you feel better. That, at least that's what has helped me, because I've been there. I've been there and don't want to talk to nobody. I don't want to deal with nothing. And definitely, you know, get somebody to talk to. Just, you know, a friend, coworker, a life coach. Call Jen.
I'm here. I'm here if anybody wants to talk. Yeah, I agree. I've had moments in my life where I've been really depressed, and in those moments, I tend to isolate myself. And I think that a lot of people do that because it's just like
Yeah,
sometimes it's hard to even like find the energy to go take a shower, right?
yeah.
Sometimes it's hard to find the energy, like you just don't want to get out of bed. One of the things that has gotten me through a lot of the hard stuff that I've been through has always been my animals. I've always been an animal lover. And
Oh, yeah.
yeah, having like somebody else that depends on me, even if I don't feel like getting out of bed, is like, okay, this guy over here needs to eat. And if I don't get
Yeah,
up right now, he's going to be hungry, right?
yeah,
That has been a huge thing for me. So I think finding something, whether it's that person or maybe, a companion, animal companion or whatever, just finding that thing that will help you just take that step of moving forward.
yeah,
Even if it's just getting out of bed or going and taking a shower. And then, you do that for a while until it's not so hard anymore. And then after that, then, like you suggested, you go find somebody that you can talk to. And even if you're not feeling great, still, it's like that can be enough to just know that you have somebody that is listening to you and releasing that energy. As like when we
yeah,
hold this stuff in and we don't talk about it just festers.
yeah,
And
yeah,
what I've found is that a lot of times this old energy from things that have happened to us, when we hold it in, there's no space for happiness. It's like we only have so much space, right, in
yeah,
this
yeah,
body. And so if you're holding in these traumas and this hardship that you've gone through, it takes up the space that could be for happiness. And so when
yeah,
you start to share that and you start to let it out, and even if it's just having an emotional release, honor what's coming up, but then move forward.
yeah,
And it sounds like that's what you've done in your life. You kept moving forward. Now that you are in a good place, we can be in a really good place mentally and physically and still have hard stuff going on around us. Like life
yeah.
isn't always easy. Now that you're on this other side of things, What sort of legacy do you hope to leave for your son and for people that are hearing this? What's your hope from sharing your story today?
My hope is that somebody will hear this and know that there's hope and love found in Jesus Christ, and then hope that my son grows up knowing that as well, and finding that peace, because that's what he brings when, I read the Bible, and I go to church, and I try to stay on the right path, and it brings absolutely peace. And everything just kind of bounces off you. Like, oh, my car broke down. Oh, well, no big deal. I get to walk today. Literally, I don't even know how to describe the peace that I get from that. And that my hope that someone can hear and know that there is hope and that they do have a purpose here.
You have chosen by the the decisions you've made and stepping into the light, so to speak, you've chosen to break that cycle for your son. You're doing it differently, and exactly what you just said is like you're hoping to show him a different way.
Yeah.
And I truly believe that you're doing that and you're leading by example. We can't go back and change the things from the past, but we can choose to do it differently in the future. And so
Yeah.
you have done that for your son. And so I really just want to acknowledge you for that.
Thank you.
Before we close up today, is there anything that you want to share with anybody that might be listening that you feel is important or that we didn't talk about?
If there's not anybody in your life that you can talk to, you know, look to the Bible, go for a walk, get exercise, try to eat healthier. A lot of that plays into your mental health as well. Be out in nature, smell the flowers, don't hold grudges, just try to be a good person, be kind. There's too many angry, jealous, crazy people out there.
It's beautiful. Thank you so much. I think that it's so powerful to, like you talked about the bees, and I can see them. I can see them kind of,
Yeah.
flying all around. But just taking that time to really be in the present moment, and noticing the beautiful things around you can sometimes in itself be enough to shift you into a better place. Looking at
Yeah.
the how beautiful the flowers are and the bees, doing their little flying around and
Their little job on earth.
right, right. Yeah, they're fulfilling
They're doing
their
their
purpose.
job.
So I think sometimes focusing on what's happening, well, not sometimes, I think all the time, like when we bring ourselves back into the moment of what's happening right now, we can find something beautiful. And even if there's a lot of struggle around us, focusing on those little things can be that hope and that light that we need in that moment. Thank you so much, Cici, for being willing to be here today and talking with me. And I really, truly believe that your story is going to give people hope. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.